It's morphin' time!
From days of long ago, from uncharted regions of the universe, comes a legend. The legend of Voltron, defender of the universe.
Hello, this is Soundout here, and welcome to my first solo Chogokin review. This is something that has been a long time coming. I have never dipped into solo Chogokin despite being a massive Super Robot fan. I'm a huge fan of the Super Robot Chogokin line that Bandai seems to not be doing anything with anymore, which makes me sad. But the solo Chogokins themselves, despite countless robots that I love, between Mazinger Z, the Big O, Gao Gaigar, Leopardon, Battle Fever Robo, I haven't done it yet. They're expensive, they're a bit of a money sink, and I wanted my first solo Chogokin to be something special. And so the first one here is GX-71 Hyakujuo GoLion, otherwise known in North America as the Lion Force Voltron. So starting off our review, we're going to take a look at the packaging. What's cool about the North American release is it actually includes a different piece of packaging, and this is the front cover. It says Solo Chogokin GX-71 Voltron, the Voltron Defender of the Universe logo on it, and on the top, the Voltron Defender of the Universe. On the back, you have the same kind of promotional stuff, except it's all translated to English, and says Voltron Defender of the Universe, and has the appropriate terminology. But as you notice on the side, it does say GoLion, as this is the slipcover. It slides right off, so you get the original Japanese release box underneath with GX-71 GoLion for all of your one tendencies. So really cool, really nice art on the top. On the sides is another picture. On the back, it's all in Japanese for all the GoLion terminology. On the bottom, you can see the lions themselves, which is super duper nice. And then on the inside, as you'll notice, all the die-cast pieces are stored in a foam tray, while plastic weapon parts are in a plastic tray. And that's so that it has support to protect your item as you get it. And to that point, what surprised me most was in fact the instruction manual. The instruction manual itself is not just an instruction manual, there's also an art book featuring history and design sketches, including concept designs like this one that looks really cool and kind of reminds me of Gao-King in a way. So that's kind of neat. But it's really neat to have some kind of promotional behind the scenes material, in addition to a nice layout of all the parts included, and full color transformation step-by-step guides for each of the lions as well as the base, and each of the components forming GoLion / Voltron. So very, very nice stuff. It even says Let's Go Lion on the back. So really nice packaging, really nice presentation. These things are expensive, so it's nice to see that the box they come in not only protects the item, but makes it look really good too. To begin our look at the lions individually, we're looking at Yellow Lion. He was listed as number 5. What I mean by that is that there's the stickers included. The original Popanika GoLion had stickers to designate numbers for each of the lions. In the anime itself, there was no such numbers, so it is an option, which is wonderful. I'm really happy about that. Personally, I'm going to be leaving the number stickers off of mine to kind of go for more anime look. Now, Yellow Lion, of course, was piloted by Hunk / insert GoLion character name here, because I can't remember it off the top of my head. But this is one of the legs, and this is kind of where you can kind of start to see a lot of the engineering. So first up, let's take a look at its sitting position. What's really impressive about this set is that they actually include a joint on all the lions that is superfluous to the Voltron mode that allows for the lions to sit. For example, this tilts back. It's very subtle, but it's very nice and gets that done. On terms of the die-cast ratio to plastic, know that the lower legs here, the feet and the connection are plastic, but this is die-cast, 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 plastic for the foot, plastic head, then this area here is die-cast, the actual torso itself, the other two chunks are die-cast as well. So this thing is, you know, a heck of a lot of die-cast. Also, you can hear the nice ratcheting joints on the lion's legs itself, which is very, very nice. And they actually can pivot outward, allowing for a more dramatic splay. But I kind of like to get it a little bit more natural, kind of making up half the difference with some maximum width. Also note with the heads do remove for a lion header attack we'll get to later. But you can notice that the detail here is just impressive. And inside the mouth is even a little gun cannon. But I think this one stays in place, but others may not. You also do get the nice lion mouth blade for Yellow Lion. And we can put that right here. It slots in, closes up, looks nice. I'll stick the head back on. You can also see that fitting this on, once it's on, it's pretty much on there. The head can tilt side to side, left and right, rotate, pivot up and down. So you got a lot of nice movement. It even can rotate up a little bit, but not too much, otherwise it looks a little weird. So you got a lot of movement there. Really nice having the mouth blade. The cannon here can also pivot up and down, which is actually really impressive because I never knew that was a thing it could do. And then this moves up and it's on a ball joint for the tail. It also can pop off if you push it too far, so that means the tails won't break. All of the tails have a release system like this, which is so nice because broken tails are an issue with Lion Voltrons / GoLions. You also get this cool missile wheel, which has a slot. Yellow Lion has slots, Blue Lion has circle pegs. It's very important for later. But here's the other double-sided cannon. If I've done this correctly, those will be on the right side. If they're not, they're on the opposite sides, or should be on the opposite sides. That was not pegged in all the way. So with that, we have our Yellow Lion. Next up, we have the Blue Lion, originally piloted by Sven, and then later Princess Allura. Insert Japanese names here. I remember Shirogane, and I don't remember the princess's name. I'm either going to put these as text on the screen, or I'm going to forget. The Blue Lion I always like the design of, particularly the head. I don't know what it is, just like the head design. So very nice. The body's very similar to Yellow Lion, naturally, just the way the nature of it. So it also has that same bent joint for the sitting position. We can get the legs out here. In terms of little hidden weapons, you also have this, which pops up. It's for an extra weaponry. Getting it back in is kind of tricky because it actually pulls out. It's not just like a straight hinge. It actually kind of ends up lifting out all weird, and it's on a ball joint, but it's pretty cool overall. We've got a little cannon here. It's a 3-missile launcher. They don't have any missiles put in them. They don't include any missiles. It's just empty slots, but that's fine because that's kind of what they were until they would fire something. Like, until the moment they fired, there was nothing really in them. So that provides a lot of accuracy. And the mouth opens. You just gotta line this up. You gotta be careful with this one so you don't accidentally, like, knock the teeth off when pulling it out, because that's the slot between the teeth. But it does look really nice. And there is Blue Lion. Again, very similar to Yellow Lion, but very nice still. The fact that, you know, it looks this good, has all the weapons, the tail moves. Really do love the fact that, you know, if you want to display your lions in the lion mode instead of the combined Voltron mode, they're not just sitting there with nothing to do. Like, they actually have all of their weaponry in place, which is super awesome. Next up is number 3, the Green Lion, piloted by Pidge and somebody's name that wears green in Japan. Again, sitting position. This one's not too crazy because it's just the elbow joint for the combined mode, but it's cool and stuff. This is one of the smaller lions, and this is what was really impressive to me. When Toy Nami made their Voltron as a die-cast piece, they ended up making the arms too heavy, so they ended up flopping around, and they didn't make the hips sturdy enough, so the legs started flopping around. That's not an issue with this version. They actually did some really smart stuff. So the actual lower part of the legs here are die-cast to give it some heft, but these parts are plastic, head's plastic, most of this is plastic except for this extra joint here, which this joint, by the way, is like one of the most impressive things ever because you don't even know it exists. That's die-cast, and the shoulder joint is die-cast. This allows for stability without being too heavy for its own good. Articulation-wise, he's got, of course, all leg movements. Legs, you know, move forward, they can tilt side to side, all that good stuff. The tail is attached to the hinge. The tail also pops off. This is not one of my favorite design choices, I guess. It kind of works out because this joint is sturdy when you plug them into Voltron. But yeah, the tail's just kind of like little extra pieces. You could take them off, but they do fit inside the torso, so I recommend just leaving them on. Totally an option. And then, of course, the head. What's kind of cool with the red and Green Lions is the heads actually shrink down. They tilt, they move, they turn. The actual gun is a separate little piece in here. So if you get something in here like that, you can actually see the cannon. And this actually helps hold weapons in his hand if there's a stability issue. Also, the head does remove. You can shrink it up again for the header attack. So that's pretty cool. He's got a little bit of a hidden weapon in the cannon up here. So there's a little laser cannon pops up. These are like the little hidden weapons or things that like other releases of Voltron have kind of ignored. And then we're going to give him his mouth blade. Of course, the mouth blade goes in, watching the teeth to make sure they don't get messed up. This is where I'm talking about the little mouth cannon. Just reinforces that connection around it, which is awesome. You got a little spike wheel, much like Yellow does. Much like Yellow, he uses slotted tabs as opposed to circle tabs. He's got a little cannon here that pegs on. And look at that, little green lion's all ready to fight some guys. The Red Lion is much of the same story as the Green Lion. Being number 2, he was piloted by Lance, and Japanese man wearing blue despite piloting the Red Lion. GoLion, I don't know what you were doing with uniform designs, but you mixed up the colors, yo. Anyways, so Red Lion, a lot of the same things except with Green Lion. Sitting position, just done by elbow joint. Legs, a little bit of die-cast, extending joint. Really cool stuff there. The head, of course, removes and closes up. So you got that going, which is pretty awesome. He's got the mouth gun as well, which really helps hold things. He also has a hidden cannon. Well, it's kind of like a little hidden missile launcher, more than cannon, but it's there. It's cool. It does stuff. A lot of this does stuff. You got the mouth blade. I always liked how it's non-symmetrical. Kind of gives it a little bit of direction in its attacks. I always thought it was kind of weird how big, because of the blazing sword, how big the actual mouth is to hold the blade, but whatever. It works. This little missile launcher here, this little cannon here, pegs on. Really nice stuff. Really cool. I kind of find it funny because of the size of his blade. You got to get like some wide hip movements so that these can clear the blade if you're using those all at once. Typically they kind of would pick and choose and like fire off some missiles, hit him with some blade. I love the individual lions. They mean a lot in GoLion and in Voltron. Compared to other combining robots where the individual components usually don't get that much screen time, the lions got a lot of screen time, so having all this weaponry is just oh so perfect. The team leader, the Black Lion. The most impressive of the lions, of course, because he is the majority of Voltron. He also is just super duper cool. Piloted by Keith, and also piloted by Japanese man wearing black. Or no, sorry, wearing red despite piloting the Black Lion. I don't even know. Maybe they're just like, oh, let's just have them be the accent colors. Here's the Black Lion, and he is a little funky on his own. I really love him, but this is the one thing that I think he took a little bit of a liberty, I think, with the neck. His neck is really long and kind of weird. You can shrink it up a little bit, which helps the look, but officially it's like, yeah, we extend the neck all the way out. This does allow him to like move his head all the way down, but I kind of like to put it like that. That makes his neck shorter, which looks a little bit better. But this dude is hefty. If you can't tell by the fact that my weak little hands are having trouble holding him, this guy is heavy. This is legitimately like heavier than like a single plate, like a single, or no, this is probably like this one chunk, especially when it's folded up like this, feels heavier than like the legendary Defender of Voltron. That's kind of impressive. So anyways, looking at, you know, Black Lion, of course he's got divots in his legs so that these can fold back for the sitting position. But we'll get these out. And then he also has his other joint, which folds up there, and that helps with the sitting position as well. But now we can get him kind of into a battle position. The side shoulder joints. Now this is interesting because they actually pull forward like this. They don't pull back, so they're always going to be kind of lateral, which is fine for stability. So you just got to pose them as such. That's pretty much the only complaint I have with them in that regard. Of course, the mouth, if you pull it too far, will reveal your Voltron head. But there is enough clearance that you can get Voltron's head up into the mouth. Just push it up. There you go. Now you got the mouth free of the Voltron head. Looking really cool. We can give him his blade. His blade, of course, doesn't have a peg because of the head, but you line up the 2 teeth there, and then you bring this close. It's a little bit looser of a fit, but you got a little bit more to work with there. It's not just a straight peg. So you got the mouth blade, and of course, his side cannons that plug into the shoulders of Voltron. If you want to give him that winged look, which I know many have in their own toys, you got that option. Wings pop out pretty good. Really nice stuff overall. I'm not going to go over like what parts of him are die-cast and what aren't, because honestly I can't tell. I think the only thing is like the head isn't die-cast, but pretty much everything else is. Like you can hear the solid nature of that coming down on the table. So Black Lion's really cool. I think, you know, leaving the neck shortened is definitely the best option. And you know, look at that. That looks really good. When the neck's like fully extended, not so much. But that's the Black Lion, and that's our main lions for this set. So we're sitting here with 5 lions that have all the weapons they could ever need. And you're probably wondering, what do you do with all those weapons when you combine to Voltron? Well, that's where the stand comes in. This little weapons stand is actually one of the coolest things that I have seen in a release. And I know these are very common with Solo Chogokin, but it's to include a little stand that can hold all the accessories. First of all, it has to be built. There's multiple sections here. There's the middle section, the 2 sides, the base, and this little tray. But once you get all that together, it looks really nice. There's a nameplate. Here it says Voltron. You also have the option for Yakujuo GoLion's logo, and they can be swapped out. They just pull out their little tabs here. So that's totally an option. But you can just replace that if you want GoLion versus Voltron, which is pretty awesome. I'm going to go with Voltron myself, if it wasn't too clear. And throughout this whole thing, you can actually store all of the Lion weapons, as well as all the Voltron weapons. But having that little side next to Voltron or the Lions, whatever you're doing, is pretty dang cool. So taking a look at the Lions one last time as a group here. Let's get these little extra weapons folded away just for now. And yeah, I think it's time to form Voltron. It's time to form Voltron. So to do that, we're going to start with the blue and yellow Lions, because they roughly have the same transformation scheme. So we'll start with blue. Why? Because I don't know. One of those things. As per usual with Voltrons, the legs fold up and rotate in. The trick with this one is that you can actually push them in really close. It's really nice. It's really sturdy because it's a lot of metal. We have that option here as well. So I'm going to fold the legs like this. Very precisely. Rotate the head up and then push these in. These will lock in this way, and when you bring the head down, I guess you do that, you bring the neck down, it pushes it back out. So this means that you can't lock it here, but you rotate this up, clicks. Really nice, sturdy stuff. Now, a lot of Voltrons in the past will kind of leave you there, but this one gives you a little bit of a heel support. It's also made of metal. So you've got relatively nice balance, though I don't recommend standing this without attaching to the leg. Tail folds in, just as per usual. Here's where things get a little interesting. So you fold this little panel out, and this drops in. And this will lock. This is going to lock into the Black Lion leg, but it is locked, and there's no way to really pull it out from here. With this flap covering, that one works easy. This one's a little bit more tricky. So underneath one of these legs, which will be on this side here, you'll notice this little pull tab, or push button. You push that button, you pull this tab up, like this, and bring this closed, and that's how you form that back up. But otherwise, that is going to stay locked, which is so nice. So we got that. We'll just lay the foot down here. Same thing with the yellow line. But there's our two legs. So now we can move to the arms. So we have the red and green lions. We'll start over here. First up, close everything up. We'll bring this in. And these will kind of go in a little bit, but not like super far. I kind of wish they did go a little bit further. But the legs back here goes up. Nothing too fancy. We're going to bring this heavy ratchet down. I'm going to rotate this and this. Naturally, black line is the most complicated of the whole bunch, so let's take a look. First up, let's get the legs sorted out. We're going to extend this here and like this. And so the legs do line up. It looks a little weird. You just got to kind of line them up like this. A lot of joints in play, but you got that. The wings fold up like this. The tail comes up like this. In the package, it was actually packaged sideways, which I thought was weird. But I kind of like to either do it this way. You could do it this way, but I kind of think it's flatter that way. You also want to notice that the torso here has its own joint. So you want to line this all up like that. We're going to then come over here. Just get those out of the way. Straighten out the lion legs in the front. Again, probably should wipe these down first, and then fold these in like that straight away and close the door. So then I'm going to rotate these around. So we're going to fold these in, close the door, rotate around. Then you want to add these locking tabs. So the locking tabs go in, really nice and secure, which is super nice. And if you want to release them at any point, you just pull to the side. You don't try pulling on this because it could break the tab. Well, maybe not. They're really thick, but the thing is that officially stated in the good old full color instructions is that when you want to release the locking mechanism, pull out like this. Also adds a point of articulation, but that's something that I've seen a lot of reviewers struggle with trying to undo the clasps, and that's the trick, is just pull it out. We're then going to bring these up and out in the classic V shape. We're going to then pull the head down, bring it down, make sure the face is secured in place, and then we can open up the horns. Now, of course, we're going to be more dramatic, so let's just reset that little transformation step, why don't we?
4 feet and legs. 4 arms and body. And I'll form the head.
Behold the glory of a Solo Chogokin robot. Of all the Solo Chogokin releases that are combining robots, this is absolutely one of the finest in my opinion. While there's other ones that are great like Galgaigar or Daijujin, the transformation intricacies while also still being the simplicities, and the overall look of the robot I think is most impressive here. And man, it's got me excited for that Dairugger 15. So, let's take a little bit closer of a look at his articulation. First of all, this guy is hefty. And what I mean by hefty is it takes, a lot of strength just to lift him. I recommend not lifting him by any other limb besides right here. Just picking him up there, because that's a pretty solid, sturdy connection overall. But man, he just looks so fantastic. But let's get that articulation going. So first up, the head can turn left and right. It can look up. You can even pull it up on that extended neck joint if you really wanted to get some crazy neck poses, but I kind of tend to do this because the neck hides into the torso that way. These shoulders rotate out. They rotate 360 if you move the wing. You can also rotate here, bends at the elbow. You can extend the arm for the double joint, which let's do this properly by not lifting him up while doing this. Getting that, well, unless you put it all backwards. That's the one thing, is that you don't have to worry about it transforming it, but once you get that second joint in, you got to get that second elbow. There you go. So you actually can get a farther range of movement than most Voltrons can, which is super impressive. And then you get a wrist swivel, the hand can open, and the hand can also come out and pivot if you need to. That's also there. So you also have the shoulder joint. Like I said, if you unlock it, you can get the shoulder to pop out, which can be handy in some situations. The torso itself rotates left and right. It doesn't really, it kind of has an up and down, but not as much. The hips move out about that far. They move forward and they move back, but if here your leg's gonna just bring it down because the leg is sturdy. But you don't really want him in a kicking pose. Thigh can turn left and right a little bit. The knee can bend pretty good, which is pretty impressive. And then the ankles can kind of pivot here. You can adjust it a little bit, but you're gonna end up popping the head off. Because that is a sturdy joint. So you got that going. Now, let's get this guy. It's really, I'm struggling to just kind of leave him a little bit. It is kind of scary working with this guy only because he is so heavy. He is so much die cast. He did cost so much money. I really don't want anything to go wrong while shooting the video. But you get the idea that he can kind of pull off a lot of poses, especially impressive for being a combining Voltron. Especially one that's this heavy, because again, he's hefty. So what I want to do now, while we have him kind of in a stock pose, is to bring out a couple other Voltrons from my past. So first up, we're going to bring out my first Voltron, which is the Trendmasters Micro Voltron. This thing is not the individual ones, it was the box set version. We're going to bring in my Toynami Masterpiece plastic version Voltron. So, first of all, this guy is really rickety, as you can tell by his hips. Also, one of his legs broke, and I mean like the Black Lion leg broke, so he's in repair right now. I definitely think this is my preferred Voltron, but I still really like a lot of what this did, and I still always have fond memories of this guy. So let's clear the table, and let's get back to the Soul Chogokin. So moving into a closer angle, because we do have some new accessories to check out. So if you remember from the stand, we got quite a few other weapons. I'm gonna stick this back here. And we want to take a look at some of those now. So first up, I'm gonna grab the alternate face piece, which is now slipped inside of the storage unit. So here is the face. He's got a yelling face. This is a very common thing for GoLion being a sentient robot, Voltron being a legend and all that. You have to pull the mouth down, and you got to kind of like unclip it from here. It can be kind of tricky to do, but if you just slide it, what you're going to do is you're going to kind of grab above the nose, because above the nose and above the eyes is where they kept just the blue part in. So you can come in and slide this in like this, and if we can just line it up, the joints are getting in the way. Pop it in, there we go. It's not too hard, it's a little bit harder to do on camera because I'm behind a camera. But now you got the screaming face of Voltron. This is a pretty cool addition. It's not something I'd call necessary, it's not even something I like wanted. But here it is, it exists, so that's cool. But pulling that out, because I kind of want to switch back to the neutral face just because I think it looks a little bit better. It's not too bad. I actually do like the fact that they do give you the option, because there are some poses you could do with him with the open mouth. But there we go. So we'll just go back to neutral Voltron, which looks cool. So we got that going. So the extra face, I'm just going to put it off to the side instead of trying to stick it back in the thing. We're going to work our way up to Blazing Sword. First up, we got the Spin Cutter. The Spin Cutter, of course, is a nice shiny chrome. In the series itself, a lot of the times he would hold it just like this. We can kind of pull this off, where you can have it held like in the side, but it kind of doesn't work out. So of course they give you a handle, much like the Popanika version had. This handle actually is a little bit more robust, as you can kind of get it, get it in the mouth, peg it in where the mouth blade's pegged in, bring this closed, and there's a peg there, which will line up with the hole on the back of this, and now you've got your Spin Cutter, your cross shield, whichever one you want to call it. You can have it like that, you can have it straight like this, you can turn it because of the way the hinge is done. You can also rotate it on this axis however you wish, like that's a good position. I find a lot to just do that kind of action. So you got that going for it, which is pretty nice. But overall, that's kind of one of those things. It's seen as a shield a lot, but in the series it was a throwing weapon. So that's kind of interesting. The other thing we got, which I want to get this joint settled because I realized I put both arms backwards with the double joint. So with the double joints in place, we can actually work with his extra weapons. Now these are two weapons that are commonly forgotten because they weren't used as much as the Blazing Sword or even the Spin Cutter. These, I believe, sometimes are called laser lances, or sometimes there's extra swords. They're these smaller swords which, again, all chromed out because, you know, Soul Chogokin, they don't skimp on the details. But you get this going, you got 2 swords, which looks pretty fantastic. And that's pretty awesome that they finally included these. I'm not sure if the original Popey one had. I know the Matchbox release of the Popey did not have any of the extra weapons. I think you even had to buy the Blazing Sword and the Cross Shield separately. But you've got that going on, which is fantastic. And then to top that all off, you can pop this out and plug it in here to the end. And now you've got the lance/spear version. This is a lot of times, again, throwing weapon more so than melee weapon, which is pretty awesome. I'm pretty stoked about that. So that's pretty cool. You can actually combine them. They look really nice. I actually use these from time to time on display. But of course, we must go to the big old weapon that everyone remembers. We got a Form Blazing Sword. Now, unfortunately, even with the extra joints, you're not going to get the hands together. It's just a matter of this thing transforms. But if you get these mouths open just right, and we attach the Blazing Sword, which, by the way, before we even do that, really nice chrome, really nice, hilt. The hilt guard actually comes off, so if you want a more toy-accurate look or an animation misprint look, you got that. It also helps with putting this on, as you can actually add the hilt. So we're going to actually get this in here. This sword is quite heavy, so I do recommend, if you are using it with red line only, to move that mouth up. You can get that going. You can just kind of line that up with the groove. And that is the closest to a Form Blazing Sword pose you'll be able to get. It's actually the one on the front of the American box. And look at that. That is honestly super cool that we have that range of articulation to pull that off, which I'm pretty stoked about. I really like the way that looks. And then unclipping the mouth, which you want to be careful not to clamp that too hard. We're going to address the one issue with this whole set. This sword is heavy, and it won't hold into Red Lion on the peg alone. The mouth cannon holds it in better, but it does like to pop out. It's just the weight of the sword is a little too much for Red Lion, which is unfortunate. But getting here, if we pop those shoulders to get those extra joints going, we can actually pull off what was thought impossible with a transforming Voltron. And that would be a two-handed gripped sword pose. There's better ways to do this. Like, I did it better when I first got him, but as you can see, he's holding both the sword with both hands. Sorry, I'm a little in awe of this. And it's totally possible, which is just downright amazing. You can see that it doesn't stress the joints. Sorry, as the legs are going nuts. It doesn't stress the joints, just kind of pops them out a little bit, and that's just downright incredible. I need to readjust the feet here. I overdid them a little bit. So that's pretty amazing. Yeah, I'm just, wow. I'm a little bit speechless. This thing is just so incredible, and I know that, like, there's probably some hardcore Soul Chogokin people out there like, yeah, every Soul Chogokin's like this. I'm like, yeah, this is my first experience with one of these. I'll lock the shoulder back in. There we go. So what's cool is you can actually, because of the way the arms are weighted, as in they're not super heavy, you can actually get him into that classic lion roaring pose. We'll get his legs kind of going here. So you got kind of that, like, one mouth out here, one's hand holding the sword, even though I need to readjust it so it actually holds it tighter. And you got kind of like a classic Voltron pose, and again, he's so big, it's hard to fit him all in frame, but that's just really, really cool. Yeah, the sword is just massive. It's the proper scaling. It's just impressive. And I keep saying that, it's just impressive, but it's really true. I really am impressed by this. Now, there is one other functionality for the lions. Remember how I said the lion heads come off? Well, let's do this properly. So if you take off one of the lion heads, you notice the little thruster piece back here, and you're probably wondering what's the point of lion heads if you can't actually display them properly. Well, if you take the tray from the weapons rack and pull these off, which I mentioned earlier, plug this into the back of the lion heads, now you have a Tamashii Stage Act 4 compatible port. Which means if you have 4 Tamashii Stage arms, you can do this. Now that's magic. Using a lot of Tamashii stage pieces, you can get this to work, and it looks awesome. I'm really, really happy that this ability is here, because a lot of Voltrons, while they'll have firing fists, like the micro Voltron I have has like missiles for the red and green lions. Yellow and blue never usually get to remove their heads to be part of the lion attack as well, because stability is an issue. But because of the extra foot supports and the way they design the necks on the lions, Voltron's not going anywhere, and that's pretty awesome. So in conclusion, Soul Chogokin Lion Voltron is quite amazing. I'm so impressed, I'm so happy with it. It's everything I've ever wanted in a Voltron and more, and I honestly feel like this is the last Lion Voltron I need to buy. This is everything, there's nothing missing, and that's kind of a magical feeling that I hardly ever come across. Overall, I'm so happy to have this in my collection, and I'm so happy to finally have it after 3 years of not being able to. So it just feels really wonderful, and I can't wait to get Vehicle Voltron in November. That's a very, very exciting thing for me, because I've never owned a Vehicle Voltron, and I've wanted one for so long, like most of my life. So this is magical. This is wonderful. With any Soul Chogokin release, because of their pricing, if you don't love the robot, don't buy the robot. But if you do, Soul Chogokin, I think, consistently seems to produce a lot of good quality stuff. Soul Chogokin, thank you. Bandai, thank you. This is marvelous, and it's having it in hand does more than any videos or pictures could do, and that's very rare as well. So this is a wonderful piece. If you want to get one, good luck online. You're pretty much at the aftermarket at this point. There might be a restock or two. Keep an eye peeled. Best of luck on the hunt out there. It's not going to be cheap, but if it's something that if you really love Voltron this much to go out for it, then best of luck. Best of luck to you. That's all I can say. Great item, regardless. So. Overall, stay tuned for Vehicle Voltron in November. Be sure to hit the like button and the subscribe button to keep up to date with future videos from the channel. Check out Ryan Darklaw643 on Twitter at Darklaw643. Thanks to him for all the help on videos. He does a lot of cool stuff for the channel. So give him a follow on Twitter. And check out Hero Club at hero-club.com for all of your Super Robot news and more. And Until next time, this is Soundout saying goodbye.